don't feel like talking to nobody but y'all. Because y'all seem to understand. They sent me this thing about some vehicle. Talking about after that date, we will not be able to honor the service contract price and design specifically for your vehicle. I don't have no vehicle. Let me find out somebody got a vehicle out my name. How? How they get it? They had to be off a digit. Because my credit is busted. You ain't getting no vehicle in my name. Child, that must be was when? Before I was born? Or maybe it's another Sharon Jordan. You never know, right? All right, so I'm going to sit here and talk with y'all, and then I'm going to get undressing and get relaxed. Okay. So just like I said, I really don't feel like talking to nobody but y'all. I'm kind of like in a depressed state of mind. See, and this is the human side of us. I mean us. This is the human side of me. I know people always say, especially church folks, oh, you believe in God. God can do anything. I don't understand why the saints want to feel. Well, I'm not going to say depressed because I'm not really depressed, like hurt myself depressed or hurt somebody else depressed. No. My depression is more so in the aspect of I'm depressed because I can't do nothing. I'm depressed because I'm sad. I'm depressed because I wish it was something I could do. So saints do get into a stage or in a moment of depression, but it's not the depression that the devil want to put on people where you want to hurt yourself or I don't want to live no more. I can't take this no more. And then you ready to just Chi-Chi in it like Chi-Chi did. But it's more of a depression of sadness, of being sad because there's really nothing. Why is this open like this? It's supposed to close. So let me just tell y'all what's happening. The doctor called me, about my husband. If y'all following or keep up with my videos in reference to my husband, he has been through 1, 2, 3 major, minor. I guess it was major surgeries, but I guess I would put it on minor because major could be like a heart surgery or like we do the cataracts or something. I would consider that major. But I feel like all surgeries is major because you don't know whether you coming out of it or not. So he done been through 3 surgeries and 5 blood transfusions, right? 6 blood transfusions because he had to get another blood transfusion maybe about a week or so ago because he was going through a spinal surgery. So he oh Lord Jesus, give me strength, give me strength. I know I shouldn't be drinking no coffee, but anyway, let me tell you. So the doctor called me today. He's been in the hospital for, I think, since the 20th of December. I mean, January. And that's because he was not eating. And, you know, this is why me and his family, his sisters and stuff, because that's all that's left, his sister and brothers, you know, and his niece and nephew, because his mother and father is deceased, just like mine's, right? So I really don't interact with their family, and you may be like, what? How you doing that, you know? And y'all probably want to throw the save card, the church card, whatever. Y'all can throw whatever cards y'all want. Deal them out. I ain't taking them. But I'm the type of person, just like I was telling somebody yesterday, I'm the type of person when I see and find out the spirit that you have and find out that it's not going to do me no good, it means me no good, then I'm not going to too much interact with y'all. Now, I'm going to respect you, and I have respect for his family. You know, I let him know. I don't let him know. I let the worker, because my daughter's a worker, and the other daughter. You know, I guess she's probably where I am. She don't really interact with them neither. You know. You know. So, and I kind of like can connect. I really think that she stopped interacting with them because she found out how the sister reacted to me and found out a lot, you know. Now that my husband is where he is, right? Certain things has transpired these past years that it was time for me to tell the children the truth. And when I turned 24 years of age, my father sat down with me and he started telling me the truth of the family. And it blew my mind. But once he started telling me that, that's when I began to understand why things was the way they were and why things happened the way it did. All the pieces was becoming together and the puzzle was becoming completed once he started telling me the truth of my family, which was his family too, which was his family before mine. So nobody really knew the situation between me and my husband. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. You know, I'm just the type of person that just like a sponge that just soaked up everything and took the blame for everything. If a relationship broke up, if I broke up in a relationship, not so much as the guy leaving me and breaking up with me. I very seldom had that. Guys that very seldom didn't break up with me. It was mainly always me, right? And it probably, you know, and it was not probably, it was due to the fact that I didn't love him, or it was time, that was the end of that relationship. It was time to move on. I was interested in somebody else, or somebody else could, well, you know, whatever. It was never sexual. And put it that way. Let me throw that out because I don't want anybody to think, oh, she was fast. No. I was just searching for love in all the wrong places. Okay, so with that being said, nobody really knew what me and my husband went through. They never knew, and to this day, nobody don't know what happened in California, except for my children. I finally told them, you know, because when my husband came back in 2012, he had had 2 of his strokes on the same side in 2009. So when he returned to me in 2011, before he returned, we was on the phone, and that's when he told me what he did with another girl, that he had interaction with another girl. And the girl that he had interaction with was somebody I knew. And he told me how often it was. I mean, I could never really, I don't think I could ever tell that to a guy that I was going out with, unless I had some hate towards them and wanted to really hurt them. Other than that, I couldn't really tell another guy that I sexed another guy while I was with them. I'd be too scared that they're going to come and try to find me or come and try to do me in. But anyway, when he told me that over the phone, how often he did it, actually, I had to ask him, well, when did this take place? Because he never went out, and I was always home. So when did this take place? And and when he told me that, I had to put the pieces together and be like, oh, wow. And then certain things started coming back to me in reference to how he was acting when he returned back. Okay. So it was that girl, and then it was another girl, and the other girl that he did it with somebody in my house, somebody close to me. I never really had friends, only had associates. And I always felt like ain't nobody mine. And they really ain't mine if somebody else can get them. If somebody could take them from me or somebody can have sex with them, then they never was mine. Now, I want y'all to understand, I understand the reality of being in a relationship or a marriage with someone and they're not getting their needs supplied. They're not getting their wants supplied. They're not, getting what they want in a marriage. I believe it or not, I can understand if they go out to somebody else. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that I can understand them doing it, right? Because biblically, when two people get married, they came into a covenant with God, an agreement with each other to comply to their husband or comply to their wife needs, to each other needs. And you should have an understanding with one another, with each other, that if it comes down that one is ready to interact and the other one ain't, that there should be some sort of understanding there where y'all will just give yourselves space and then come together and complete that moment. Maybe at the time that one may want it, that person may not want to give it, but you're not going to come to the conclusions that I'm going to go out to somebody else and get it because you don't want me to have it or you don't want to give it. No. So, but if two people have not came to that understanding, then that's where the issue come in. So in me and my husband's relationship, we never really dated. We never really understood each other. We never sat down and had like conversations. We never had a date night, none of that. We met in Job Corps, Utah. I got pregnant in Utah. I came home, went to California. My grandmother paid for me to go to California, and that's where I was supposed to stay and live and raise my family. Unfortunately, that's where the first abuse took place at. And, being pregnant, my mind was saying, I got to stay in this because this man is the man that's supposed to take care of this child. I'm not supposed to put this responsibility on another man. This is his child. I lied up in the bed with him whether I wanted it or not. If I had the strength to say no or not do it, I should have did it. And the conceivement of my son, which was my first child, was before we was married. And, if anybody I know there's people on my channel that go to my church or connected with my church. So I guess you will find out that my son was out of wedlock. Don't really matter to me because I wasn't saved. Then go run with it. Go run and tell that. I don't care. So for turning back home, everything didn't work out in Cali. So returning back home, I got kicked out of the house and with his family. Me and his family did not even get along back then. Whatever it is, you know what? LA Californians, well, those Californians, I'm not gonna say all of them. His family had a thing against New Yorkers. So finding out that I was a New Yorker, they already knew I was a New Yorker when I got there. But then pregnancy came into play. They found out I was pregnant, and that's when everybody's attitude changed. And they sitting up there seeing my husband mess with, he wasn't my husband then, but seeing their brother and their son messing around with girls, on the phone with girls, and I'm in the room pregnant with him, and he not getting, nobody telling him he need to go get a job, nobody schooling him, counseling him. So I got to understand that there was not too much of a connection between him and his parents and him and his family. His family was not too crazy about him. They just let him do and go however he was, because he was in Utah for more years than he's supposed to have been in there. So he probably went there like when he was 15 or 16 years old, and he didn't leave till he was like 20. Right? Well, I'm not going to say 20. He didn't leave till he was about 18. Yeah. And he was supposed to be out of there, I guess, when he was about 17 or something. Like, so that was his second home or something like that. His parents did not want to be bothered with him. Nobody didn't want to be bothered with him. So he probably was a problem child. And they didn't take the time out to work with him and find out what the problem was about, and, you know, if he had any mental issues, to get it together. They didn't take the time out for him. So that's another reason why I felt sorry for him or whatever, you know. But anyway. So, came back home. When I came back home, now I'm about 8.5 months pregnant when I got back to New York City. And I was so glad to get home. I never told my grandmother that he had me locked up in the room. I couldn't come out the room. You know, as far as taking care of myself and feeding myself and stuff like that, I had to make sure I did it because his parents didn't take care of me. He wasn't taking care of me. So they took me, once they found out I was pregnant, they took me out there. It's called a county. They took me to the county. Here's welfare, there's county. They took me to the county office and got me on county. And I was getting my own money and my own food stamps, getting a nice sum. They give you a little bit more money. I don't know how it is now, but when I was out there, I was getting like $300 for just me. Of course, the baby, but just me. And my food stamps was about $200 or so. So that's what kept me by. That's what kept me going. Up to that 8 months, I never went to a doctor. I didn't have no prenatal care. I'm surprised my son was okay. I didn't have no prenatal care, nothing. They didn't take me, nobody, and everybody had a car. Everybody had a car because out there, your transportation had to be a car because their buses stopped running at 6 o'clock. We got caught out there, but that's neither here nor there. Let's keep going. So you needed transportation. So I couldn't do nothing. I'm trying to think if I went to the doctor. Where was I going? I think I went to the doctor one time. No, I didn't. I was going somewhere. I don't know where I was going. I had to go somewhere, and I had to find out how to get there by myself. I had to find out where the bus. I took a bus, and I remember being on the bus, my belly big, and there was this guy in front of me, and he was like, "Miss, you want to sit down?" And he got up, and at that time, being so young and young in mind, everything that was presented to me, everything that was done to me, everything that was done for me, always took me back to my husband. And when that guy said to me, "Excuse me, miss, you want to sit down?" The first thing, my mind went to my husband. I said, why is it? I think it was a doctor's appointment. But I just can't remember whether I saw the doctor. But anyway, I was saying to myself, well, why why Tracy ain't with me? I was so lonely. I was in a city by myself. I was in a city that I knew nothing about. I was around family members that didn't know nothing about me because I didn't meet them on the phone like he met my grandmother on the phone. So I was just lonely. But I went through that pregnancy up to 8.5 months. My grandmother sent for me once. I really didn't have a place to stay, and it came down that I really had to leave. That there was no ifs, ands, buts about it. There was nobody else I can go stay with. You know, so so my father sent the ticket for me to come home. And I came home. He picked me up from the airport, LaGuardia Airport. He picked me up. I'm now about 8.5. I'm about close to 9 months now. And, you know, he was excited. He looked at me. Okay, hugged me with this girl. Boom, 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 boom. Went home, had the baby. A few weeks after I had the baby, I had the baby on the 8th. That's my birthday. On the 5th of March. And we got married on the 23rd of March. And it was all about him wanting sex. You know, I had fooled myself to believe that I wanted it too. He had fooled me into believing that I was enjoying it, that I liked it, that I wanted it. You know, your fellas know how y'all are. You be like, oh, come on. You know you want it too. Well, maybe. And I was always one to lie to make somebody else feel good. And I would be up there just a line. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, all right. So he wound up coming back to New York. We wound up getting married. We stayed with my grandmother. She gave us her bedroom. And we moved in there, her room. And he was born 83. By middle of 84, because my second daughter, the one that's deceased, that's dead today, she was born February of 1984. So they are about 11. What? Yeah. They're whatever amount of report. One was my son was March the 5th of 83, and my daughter was February 24th of 84. So that's about what? 11 months apart. They're shy of a month of a year to be in a year. Okay, so then I had her. Now, all between this time, my grandmother had left. I'm saying all this for a reason. Okay, I want y'all to understand this relationship, you know, this marriage, to let y'all see that it really was no marriage, and to try to encourage people to don't get into nothing that you don't want to get into, whether it's religiously. No, God smiles on marriage, and he wants marriage to last. He don't want nobody to be abused. He don't want abused no kind of way, mentally, physically, or spiritually. He don't want that. So I'm going through this to let y'all, to try to help anyone out there that is coming up to a decision of whether or not they want to marry this guy or marry this girl. I can't too much talk on the guy's point of view. I only can go from the woman's point of view, which is mine. Just to tell you to make sure that's what you want. Because marriage is a forever commitment. And you could still get a divorce, but it's a forever commitment mentally. So if you marry somebody and you wind up getting a divorce, whatever you went through with that person is going to always be in your brain. It's going to leave a scar. Just don't let it interfere with the next marriage, the next relationship. into a marriage. Just make sure you get married. Don't be out here being with a guy because he got the money or he got the car, he got the home. No, 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 no. You get into a marriage for you. For the bondment of you, for the love of you, for the uplifting. You know? Your husband should be your best friend. And your best friend is going to always bring out the best in you. And that's the key to let you know whether your best friend, whether male or female, is really your best friend. What? It's in there. I'm sorry. I'm already itching. I'm aggravated and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So your best friend will always bring out. Well, I hope this ain't it. Let me go give it to him. I didn't even realize I brought it in here. Here you go. Yeah, it was on my phone. But you got honey barbecue. I'll be getting lemon pepper. Maybe it's the sauce. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah, I was irritable. Sorry. So now let's see, where was we? Okay, so they're about 11 months apart. So even while we're at the house with my grandmother, yeah, I was telling y'all your bestie, your best friend will always bring out the best in you, no matter whether it's a male friend or a female friend. And you being a bestie to somebody, make it your business to bring out the best in them. So you bringing out the best in them is a way, in the form of whatever they think they can't do, you're there to help them do it. And it don't have to be financial. You're there to help them. Things that they feel that they can do, and you feel and you can see that it will be a hindrance or a hurt or harm to them, you're there the right way to let them know and help them out. Okay. So that's why I'm telling y'all this little story about, this is a story time about my life with my husband up to this point, up to the point right now. So even after my grandmother gave us her room, and we're in the room. All he wanted was sex. He was, I'm not going to say he was sexually, like he was, like there's people that's highly sexual. And then there's people that's sexually active. Okay? To me, those are two different things. And those are two different perspectives of sex. A highly sexual person is someone that wants to have sex all the time. Not so much as trying to help you enjoy it as well. It's all about them because they're the one that has the need and feels like they have to have it fulfilled, as composed to a sexual active person. And that's someone that goes out and have multiple partners due to the fact of having sex to please themselves. So it's almost around the same thing, but you just got partners in it, whereas highly sexual can be within a marriage, can be within a relationship. Every time you turn around, your partner want to have sex, but you don't. And then when you don't want to have it, then they get mad with you. They don't too much go out and do it with nobody because they're going to compel you and manipulate you to give it to them. And so you're going to be in a sexual relationship with them with no fulfillment. So that's how my marriage was. So when in that room, that's all that was happening. So I got pregnant again with my daughter. Okay, so it went on. And even in being in my grandmother's house, we still had fights. He still abused me. We still had fights. Now, I want you to understand my abuse. My abuse was not too much physical because I'm going to try to beat your tail. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to do whatever I can to protect myself. So, abuser, when they finds out that they cannot mentally, they cannot physically get to you, I mean, they're going to eventually get to you physically. But when they feel within themselves that they can't get to you physically, then they start messing with the mental. Now, mind you, the mental can start at the very beginning of the relationship, depending on how it's presented within that relationship in the beginning. See, the mental abuse did not come to me. It was not seen to me. The physical was there because he would do certain things that I didn't like, and we would get into some dispute, argument, and he would just laugh about it. That was the mental part. The laugh was the mental, and the physical part was him doing things and acting a certain way, towards me. And me not really understanding abuse because I wasn't raised around it. I was raised in a full-blown, closed, confined home. Christian home. Holy home. So all those outside things didn't come in the house where I was. All those type of talking and all the street stuff, I didn't know nothing about because we didn't have a television. So I couldn't learn nothing from the TV. I couldn't be updated on the television perspective because of the simple fact, we ain't had no TV. My grandmother was in her 60s, so she was born 1904. So the only thing she could teach me is 1904 up to where we were, which was when she got me was 1963. So anything beyond 1963, she couldn't too much teach me because, you see what I'm saying? She's already in her 60s, if I'm making sense. Now, anything before Me getting there with her, anything before her 60-year, prior to her 60-year-old, she could teach me a whole lot. And she did. Everything else after that was based on her actions. That's how she taught me. She taught me through her actions. She taught me through prayer. She taught me through reading the Bible. And once I go to church, I was taught what I needed to know spiritually. I wasn't taught too much, the womanhood. I wasn't taught too much. No, not the womanhood. I wasn't taught too much about the female productive system. I wasn't taught too much about the female hygiene, all this different stuff. No, my grandmother was clean. Yes, she was. I never smelled her. So that's it. That's all I went by. I never smelled her. So you don't smell, it's because you wash. You smelling, it's because you didn't wash. So all those urinary tract infections, all those STDs, all those, what else? All those feminine part of you that may let off an odor. I wasn't taught all that. So I did read. I love to read. That was my escape zone. Reading and music. That's why I love music. That's why you'll see me in my videos doing dance to this, that, and the other. And it's not so much as me being into that sort of type of music. It's just the music itself. And some music of today that I am comprehending now from back in the 60s up until about the 90s, I'm understanding what it meant, what the singer was actually singing about. Just like with the spiritual aspect of music. And I already got the understanding of the spiritual aspect of music because I was a director. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument professionally, but I can hear the music. I know what it's supposed to sound like as far as singing is concerned, per se. So I know that. But that was taught to me. Music was taught to me. So I was taught what I needed to survive in the spiritual world. But I wasn't taught what I needed to survive in the natural world because of the simple fact that wasn't of importance. Everybody was of age, older. Here I come along. I'm a young girl. There's nobody young to teach me. You see what I'm saying? So they taught me, my aunt and my grandmother, great-grandmother, taught me what they knew to teach me based on what they knew about the woman's natural part of the woman. So, with that being said, so going into marriage, I'm going on the spiritual realm of marriage. My grandmother did tell me, you get a husband, you take care of your husband. That's how God wants it. The husband is the head of the household. Not so much as a boss. She didn't put in my head, oh, you got to listen to him. He's your boss. Just no. It was spiritually, just like it says in the Bible. The husband is the head of the wife, like Christ is the head of the church. And a husband is supposed to love his wife like Christ loved the church and gave his life for it. That's how a husband's love is supposed to be. The husband is supposed to give his life for his wife because that's what Christ did for him. So now Christ gave his life for that husband, and that husband should want to give his life for his wife. And not so much, understand, they're not going so much, unless God forbid that happens for real. It's not so much literally giving your life. It's the thought and the heart of you saying you would do that what God looks at. And that's what he smiles upon. And that's what he helps out with that marriage, because that man has dedicated his heart to that woman, and he's going to do all he can for that woman, to take care of that woman, to protect that woman, to supply for that woman, to protect her, all that stuff. Because that's the things that God does for his people. So now, I'm in this marriage, and I'm in this room with this man that don't care less than a two-hoo, because all he wanted was sex. And that was the mental part of him. That's why he had to mentally abuse me, because his mental mind wasn't stable. You know, you look at him, he's all right. But after a while, I began to see things in him that let me know that something wasn't right. But what was I going to do about it? There wasn't a thing I could do about it. I was in it. So I had to accept it. I try to make it better. But it was always a fight there, because he had an issue with me as a woman. I never could understand it. Like, I would ask a question to myself, well, what the crazy you married me for? But I understand what the reason. I got the understanding way after the fact why he married me. Because his jealousy was possessive. So he had to possess me. And I'm not saying it in the perspective of, oh, I'm so good looking, and oh, every man that he saw wanted me. No, it was just the fact that what he saw in me, whatever he saw, he came to the conclusion that another man saw it. So now if another man saw it and wanted like he wanted it, he ain't having that. So you know what? I'm going to make her marry me. Because in his head, he knew, just like I showed that y'all hear the song, Let's Stay Together, he knew that that was the right thing to do. He probably didn't know how to do it because nobody taught him. His parents ain't teach him nothing. So he didn't really know how to take care of a wife, to be a husband, and nobody wanted to help him. And me getting in the Bible, biblically, I learned how a husband's supposed to be. So I would try to like slowly teach him. But he's a grown man now, so he ain't accepting that from me. And like, he would look at me and say, like, who the crazy you is, God? Yeah, he would say that to me. So we would be one day, my grandmother went down south and left us in her house right in Brooklyn. And I can't remember what happened, but we started fighting. Something transpired, and we started fighting. We was always fighting. There was always an argument, right? And half the time, the argument will turn into a fight. So we in the house fighting. He's slinging me around, and I'm on top of him, and I'm punching him, and I'm kicking him off of me, and stuff like that. So I think he had went out to smoke a cigarette or something, and I locked him out. And Williamsburg Projects, they had, the projects that she was in, they had, the windows had like gates. Back in the day, you had to have gates on it. It wasn't no bars. They was called gates. So, and it was fire department gates, if anybody remember that back in my day, off of my time. So my grandmother had these type of bars, gates on her windows, and it took up the whole window and left about this much, maybe about body-wise space, right? And but it would take a little struggle to get in, but you could get through. And I had locked him out, and I was going to keep him out there. My grandmother was down south, so, I was in the house thinking, I said, well, if he break up something, or if he come and I'm going to have to, I don't even think I was thinking about calling the cops. I wasn't even there. I probably was, this is my son, so now I'm 19, I'm about 20, I'll say I'm about 21 now. So I'm like, I ain't letting him in here. I'm tired of fighting him. I don't know what he gonna do to me in here, you know? And he climbed on the outside of the window. My grandmother had so much plants up there. And I happened to hear something, some bamming, right? And I came to, he was trying to open up the window. I said, Tracy, if you break mommy's window, he didn't care. You know, like somebody would be like, come on now, let me in. Y'all probably hear it say, well, you was going to let him in anyway. He had to get in some kind of way. Whatever. You know, at that time, my mind remembering I wasn't letting him in. Because I was fearing for my life, to be honest. So anyway, to make a long story short, he got back in. But when he got back in, he didn't fight me no more. I don't know whether he thought, next time, she might, I don't know what she'll do. I mean, I probably said something to scare him, make him think, you know, you do something else or whatever. I'm going to call the cops or whatever the case may be. But anyway, so I just put that in to let y'all see that we was already fighting. We was fighting in California. That's when he locked me up in the room. Got to New York, same thing, blah, blah, blah. Got our own apartment, fighting, but we was only married for 3 years together. We still married now. So we was only together for 3 years. So now, let's forward wine. After a stroke, he comes back. When he gets back in 2011, as I told you, he's over the phone talking to me, and he's telling me the girls that he sexed that I knew, right? And, you know, I just muted the phone, and I boo-hoo. I told you no lie. I booed who. I booed who. I booed who. Booed who. And then I didn't ask no questions. And he would ask me, say, you ain't got nothing to say? I said, no. I kept my voice clear so he couldn't catch it. I was like, no. He said, you ain't mad? I said, what am I going to be mad for? And to be honest, I was more hurt than mad that my husband went and messed around with somebody I knew and then want to come back and tell me way after the fact. And everybody looking up at my face, seeing me every single Sunday and knowing what's going on. Well, I don't know that as a fact, but in the back of my head. So now, with that being said, so he, there was a lot of stuff going on after he came back, 2011, all the way down to 2020. That's when he really started going out. So you see that from 2011 to 2020, God didn't do nothing. In between those times, I got to tell you, God did step in. Certain things I would say to him. And one thing I did say, just throw this in, when we was in California, and he would do the things to me, and I would tell him, I said, ooh. I said, if you ever come to New York, I never said, if you ever come to New York, I'm going to get you back. I never said that. What I did say, I said, ooh, if you ever come to New York, God gonna get you. I don't know why I said that, because he could have got him in California, right? But he didn't. He said, I told him, he said, please, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I said, all right. I said, I ain't gonna too much do nothing. He said, what you gonna do? I said, I ain't gonna do nothing. Because in my head, I was like, I'm stuck in this. What am I supposed to do? I can't even get out of it. So what am I supposed to do? I'm over here pregnant with this man's baby. So where am I going? I have no other choice. But it was like in my head, I had no other choice. There was no choices. There was a guy there that was telling me not to marry him. I was already told not to marry him. So I had a choice with a guy. The guy wanted to marry me, and he was going to take care of my son. But in my head, I was saying, no, that's wrong. I said, if I do that, God going to punish me big time, because I carried this man's child, and then I had the child, and then I let another man take care of the child. And I always felt like another man shouldn't be taking care of my children. I have a husband. I was like, I'm gonna make him take care of his child. Get out there and get to work, and but that didn't. That was just a fantasy I had that never ever came to pass, because he ain't never took care of his children. I mean, he probably doing so now because he got no other choice. He don't have no control over it now. You see what I'm saying? So, anyway, forward winding, going to coming up to where we are now. So I had told him, I said, you ever come to New York? I said, God gonna get you. I said, he gonna get you good. I said, you think because God is in the clouds, he don't see you. I said, but he see exactly what you doing, Tracy. He see what you doing to me. And I'm gonna tell you something. I prayed and cried a lot of nights. A lot of nights. But anyway, and it was sad. It was sad. So with that being said, where we are today, you know, I really feel sorry for him because it's out of my hand. All them times we used to have Bible study, he didn't want to hear nothing about God. He didn't want to talk about God. He talked about his girls. He talked about his drugs. He talked about how he had girls chained up, treat them like dogs. I mean, actually, literally treat them like dogs. Had them on chains around their neck, whipping them like with chains and brushes and stuff. And it would irk me. It would make me so mad with him, and he would be cracking up like, yeah, do that. You act up, and I have you like that. And I don't even know what you would call it. Would like trigger up in me, and I'll be like, you must have lost your mind. You ain't having me chained up. This ain't no devil moment where he gonna come and take over and have me under his jurisdiction. Oh no. But anyway. So little by little, even him being in the bed, being sick, not as sick as he is now, nothing going on with his feet, legs, nothing. He maybe had some pains in his legs or whatever, but nothing really serious, you know. And certain things I would tell him, it was like God was using me to help him and keep him from getting to where he is now. Because I would tell him a lot of times, Tracy, get up and walk around. I said, you need to go out and you need to walk. I said, Tracy, you need to get up and go to the bathroom. Don't just sit there. I said, because God forbid it comes down that you really can't go to the bathroom. That's when you're going to want to go. You get up and walk. I don't feel like walking. I hate it for you. Blah, blah, blah. Be like, but Tracy, I'm only telling you this because God forbid something happens. I always would say that. God forbid something happens and you can't walk. Boom. Even before he couldn't walk. Then I would tell him, you know, you need to stop treating me like this. And he used to always treat Danielle bad. Because that was his thing. He could not stand it. He loved her today. But from 2011 when he came, he could not stand that girl. He used to argue with her, want to fight her. And it will always be when I'm going to church. They be always in it. She'll be texting me, telling me what he's doing, what he's saying. And it was because I had a baby. And he was mad. And he wanted to make me punish by beating and manipulating her. And Danielle was sort of like me. You know, she cried at the drop of a hat, you know. You know, she don't got that strong backbone like Mary do. But, you know, Danielle got just my side and her father's side. And he was very, like, compassionate. He had a lot of compassion in him. He was very, how can I say, giving and loving. You know, where as Tracy was very stubborn, he very no remorse, did not care. And me, when somebody did something to me and will make me mad or did it to me so many times and I'm now at a place where I don't want to be bothered, that's what Mary and Tanja would have. They would have that side of me. So putting him and that part of me together with Mary and my daughter that's deceased today, what? Okay, I'm coming. Just leave it in the microwave. So I was like, okay, so now let me hurry up. I'm talking for 55 minutes. So I had to say all this in order to get to where I am now, because it's very emotional. And I know when I get to that, I'm going to try not to get emotional. Okay, so with all that being said, all that happened, all the different things that went down, all this cheating, all this abuse, all this fighting, all this manipulation, all that stuff like that, from 2011 to 2020, I stuck it out. Once 2020 came along, there was nothing else I could do. One time we was doing Bible study and the Spirit spoke and said, it's no use. We was inside the Bible study. I was trying to do Bible study with him. And just like I said, he would always start talking about his women dogs. That's what he would call them, women dogs. And, he would tell me different things that he would do and stuff like that. And, I would get so fed up because he would start talking about that, and I would never get to finish the Bible study or get through to him biblically, right? So he was like, I was sitting there talking. He just, like, I be talking about Jesus is good, the Lord loves us, and I mean, be on the scriptures talking about amen, being Christ is a new creature, da-da-da. And he'll just say, you know what? He put his hand up like he want to say something in reference to what I'm talking. And I'll be like, yeah, Tracy. He said, I remember. I just want to tell you that. I remember. There was this girl. Boom. There you go. And I would leave him. I would never, like go over him because I didn't want to fuss and argue with him. And he would get a kick out of it when I would get so upset. He'd be like, why you getting upset? I'd be like, because that's not nice what you do to these girls. I said, but God see you. I said, you think you got away with it? So I don't know. And the Spirit spoke and said, it's no use. And I stopped and I was like, I couldn't understand. What was it? What was it? No use. But the Spirit was saying it was no use to try to keep going, trying to talk to him, because his mental stage was not accepting Christ, right? So after a while, I stopped having the Bible study. The Lord told me how to handle it. I handled it, and I got back control over it, and I got talking to him about Christ. And whenever he would go into his little stories, I'd be like, no, we're going to stay focused. We're talking about Christ. So answer my question. What you think about salvation? Or what you think about being a sinner? What's a sinner? Stuff like that. And after a while, he would be like, you know what? Excuse me for a second. I want to go and get me. I'm hungry. Can I get something to eat? And me, being the wife that I am, I'd be like, Tracy, can you just wait till we finish it? I'm hungry. So I would end the Bible study and I'd go fix something to eat, da-da-da-da-da. And then I started finding out that he was doing that to keep him having the Bible, talking the Bible study, hearing about Christ. So I eventually stopped having it, right? I had Bible study a long time with him. And he was like, so went on to where it came down, he couldn't walk. It came down where he couldn't control his, his bathroom times, came down where he didn't have no appetite, came down where he was in pain, and stuff like that, came down where he couldn't explain what he was saying because the mental side of him could not comprehend enough to let me know what was really going on, And then we took him to the hospital back in 2022. And that's when everything started going downhill. He came back. He stayed away for a whole year. Came back 2023, February. And then after that, he started going down. There was almost about 6 months to a year before anybody came out to see him. And he started having all these different ailments start happening to him because he couldn't get, well, he could get to the hospital, to the doctor, and we would take him to the doctor and stuff like that. But before it came down to me taking him to the doctor, it was all about the home care coming out to him. And people wasn't coming. So a lot of things started happening due to that. So he got that kind of under control. And then a massive thing happened where he had to go into that hospital. That was the 22 to the 23. And then another thing happened where I took him to the hospital. From that time, 23, his next time going into the hospital was in 20, he came back 23. I think it was 24. Yeah, it had to be 24. So from 23 to now, that's when he got into the hospital, all types of things they started finding out with him. He got all this infectious disease. He got, oh my God, I can't even remember. When I was reading the list of all the things that he's diagnosed with, I was like, Lord Jesus. So now with that being said, we're going to come up to the day. I got the call today. Now he already had an amputation, got an amputation on his right leg. They took his foot and they took a little bit up like mid-leg from him. I don't think he have any problems with that leg. He don't feel nothing. Now he had something going on with the left foot, right? And that foot was leaking out. So when he went to the hospital this last time, the 20th of last month, they noticed it. Thank God for my daughter cleaning it out, all she could do. But there was nothing she could do too much because she wasn't a wound specialist. She knew how to care for a wound, but not once it get infected, right? So we wanted, the nurses started coming out. I guess because I'm thinking that now that his symptoms is more serious now, that they really come out. They really call and come out. And I not only threatened them, I really was going to do it about suing them because nobody came out. The foot doctor never came out. He got that gangrene, whatever, in his foot. And that's what made him lose his first foot up to midway, his ankle. And I was telling them when I would call, it was Essen. Essen was the medical people that came. And I told them every time somebody called me from there, I would tell them. And they be called. I said, what you calling for? What you calling for? I'm going to sue you. I said, and I hope I see you in court. Because now you want to call talking about you coming? What you coming for? Oh, they will call me and say, okay, we're going to have the podiatrist come. The podiatrist, what he coming for now? He ain't got no foot. Oh, so don't sorry me. I said, if y'all had came out when you were supposed to come out, this could have been caught. I said, I'm going to sue y'all. He went into the hospital over here at Warhol. The doctor was acting all crazy. I guess he was just being a doctor, but don't mess with me. And don't mess with him. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, with that being said, I even told the doctor, I said, don't play with me. I said, nobody touches him without my permission. I said, don't go asking him no question because his mental capacity or his mental stability is not stable enough to be answering nothing about his health. That's what I'm here for. I said, so anything that got to deal with his health, you come to me. If he say no to something, then of course you listen to that. And then you tell me what it is he said no to. And then if it's something for his good, then I'll talk with him. But if he still don't want it, unless it's a matter of life and death, you know what I'm saying? If he still don't want it, and he could, and he still can be all right with not doing that particular thing, then I'm going to go along with him. No. But don't you dare ask him nothing. And then they were saying that, oh, well, you is the designated representative or something, but you're not his health proxy. Oh, no? Well, how am I supposed to be his health proxy? All these many years, I'm not his health proxy? No, you're not. We don't see that. No problem. Boom. Give me the paper. Let me fill this out. Boom. And then the social worker told me, okay, Miss Jordan, that's good because your health proxy is only going to deal with the health, but you need to get a power of attorney for him. So I got an appointment for that. So if anybody come giving you problems, bam, power of attorney. Yeah, I guess they'll give me more explanation because all I know is attorney. Right? Maybe that's the power for me to be acting as an attorney for him. I don't know. But anyway, so with that being said, so now they called me. I was out today. You know, I just didn't feel like coming home because I just feel the sadness and stuff. Not knowing what was going on. Just like I said earlier, I said I got it yesterday, but I didn't know what it was about. And so they called me and they telling me that there's nothing else that that the hospital can do for him. So they called the vascular, whatever part that is, to look and see. And so the only thing that they feel that's best for him, since he cannot move, he will not be moving, and he can't move, that is best to give an amputation above the knee. He said, we probably, no, not probably, he said, there was a thought of below the knee, but we're thinking that it's a possibility that the disease or whatever happens, being that he's not moving the because it's all about the circulation that causes gangrene. So it says all about that circulation, him not moving. We're afraid that it may start at that knee, and we don't want that to happen, because then if it happens like that, then he'll get a whole amputation up to the hip. So I said, let me make sure I'm understanding. So you're telling me that you are amputating his whole leg. It's a little below. Something he said. Something she said. But bottom line is, it is his leg. Like, oh my goodness. I said, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus. So, I know I said all that to say just that little thing. It just stumped me now. I can't even go on. I have to stop here because that's why I wasn't really saying nothing, because I got to get that into me. Get that understanding into me. That's why I don't have no time to be messing around with these church folks. You know, they humiliated me for the last time. I don't need to be no Bible school teacher, whatever type of teacher. I just want to serve God and let my life be pleasing to him and do what's right and just take care of my husband, because he don't have nobody. That's why I don't pay his family no mind. Y'all want to talk all that gang from California. The only person that actually came to visit him was his niece. His brother didn't come. His nephew didn't come. His sister didn't come. But y'all wanna be giving orders over here. I don't say nothing to him. I don't say a thing to him. So I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to. So that's what's happening. And this surgery is supposed so soon. It's supposed to take place Thursday. I don't know. I was thinking today was Monday or Sunday, because I was like, yeah, okay, so maybe you'll call me back, you know, you know, and whatever. I was actually literally thinking that Thursday would be next week Thursday. Not so much as Thursday being so close, you know? Like today was Thursday and I said, okay, I got a whole 7 days to think about this. But no, I only got so that's it. He's gonna get an amputation of his leg above the knee. He's supposed to go visit him tomorrow. I have to go. I got a dermatologist appointment. And then then I want to go to the hospital and see him before he actually goes. So I'm going to end this.